we always want to find something outside of us as a problem. But sometimes it's just like really deep inside of us. That's something that we have to change, to have to shift, transform. And it comes to all those words, all this negative feeling that we have. It comes for a reason, because we want to learn something. We come here to learn that. And as soon as we start to blaming it as outside matter, as soon as we start to blaming it because we want to say, hey, I don't have any access to it, I cannot change it. And as soon as we have addressed it inside of us, that limit, then we can shift it. As soon as we acknowledge it, basically appreciation is acknowledgement. And when we acknowledge something inside of us, we are actually appreciating. We can appreciate the negativity, we can appreciate the pain. And then through that, we can get the gift, we can get the jewel out of that pain. And then see like, oh, this is another jewel in my being.
Welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast, where we share new and different ways to practice gratitude that you might not have thought of before. Our guests come from many different and diverse backgrounds, and the one thing they all have in common is a passion for gratitude. I'm Julie Boyer, a gratitude and gut health expert, and I love showing you different ways to practice gratitude that you might not have thought of before. Welcome back, friends. This week we have another interview with Kamran Novin, and he supports people to have healthier relationships with money, all on a beautiful foundation of gratitude. I'm so excited to have Kamran on the podcast because it's been a while since we've had someone talking about the relationship between money and gratitude. So if you're struggling with your money mindset, or you find that you're not in financial alignment, this is the podcast for you. Quick question before we start. I was wondering if you caught last week's episode. I did something a little bit different. I posted a gratitude meditation to help you with your relationships. I'm wondering if you had a chance to listen to it. If you enjoy these types of podcasts, let me know. My contact details are in the show notes, and I'd love to hear if gratitude meditations are something you'd like to see more of on the podcast. I won't necessarily do them every single week, but I might have them as a bonus every month or so. And before we start this interview, I just ask you one last quick thing. If you haven't clicked on the plus or follow button on the podcast show page, please take a quick moment to do that now. Just hit pause. I'll wait. Okay, welcome back. And now that you're following the podcast, you won't miss any of the new episodes that I post every week on Tuesday, and occasionally a bonus episode too. Here we go, friends, with a wonderful, heartfelt interview with Kamran Novin. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Wake Up with Gratitude podcast. I'm your host, Julie Boyer, and today I'm welcoming Kamran Novin, all the way from the Netherlands. Hello, my friend.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm just thrilled to have you on the podcast today because gratitude is so fundamental to the work that you're doing. Now, Kamran is a modern spiritual practitioner. He's a coach, a musician, a poet, an author, templar, timber worker, and chef. He has helped many individuals through his financial freedom course, and his book, coming out in the next 4 to 6 weeks, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, Transform Your Money Mindset in 21 Steps, is the essence of his financial freedom program. He inspires others through his colorful and joyful life and aspires to continue making a positive difference in many lives through his service and his work. Kamran, as I love to start my podcasts, I would love to hear a little bit about your story because you are, it looks like a multi-passionate, multi-talented individual. So was that sort of how you grew up, getting a chance to try so many different things?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think that is part of the practices that I love it because I think every single of us has so many talents, but we don't get a chance to experience all of them. and master them. So one of the things that I learned through the life, it was like, okay, if I learn this, what's gonna happen in my life? And look at it as an experience, not as this is the end. So, for example, I learned music and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I was like, okay, I really like cooking. So I'm going to learn this. And this is amazing. And I was like, one day when I had this business that we were cooking a lot of cookies and we had a really wonderful business, and was sitting with my friend and I was like, I really like to become a coach. And he was like, what do you want to teach? I was like, I don't know. And I think that was the spark that it comes to me. And I was like, okay, like, what do I have to teach? Do I have anything to teach? And then a few days later, one of my housemates was like, you have a wonderful life. Can you show me how you can get it? And I was like, oh, that's challenging. I will do my best. And and I started to tell him what I'm doing. And I was like, oh, I am actually a coach for my housemate. So how can I change that and bring it to more people? And there was like more people wanting that. And yeah, this is like just living with the life and flowing and not giving any limit to myself, because I believe that the only limit is me. So I cannot be more than me because I limit myself. This is me.
It's interesting how you mentioned, this starting with one passion, then moving to another. Did you grow up with a family of people that were entrepreneurs that took risks? Was it a fun, grateful, happy, loving environment? Because you do have that beautiful disposition. And I'm just wondering if that maybe came from your family.
Well, I have to say, I have a great family in different sense. So I grew up in war. So I born in Iran when it was Iran and Iraq war.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then we moved to Greece and we come back to Iran. So we forced to take risks because the life was like that. So it wasn't like hey, you have a choices to take risks, but it was like you have to take risks because there is no other choice for it. And so we did take risk in life, but in the same time, like my mom was a kind of entrepreneur, and she take a lot of risk. But when I speak about my father, he was a bus driver and he was really like not ambitious, and he just wanted to have like a steady life. And that was like kind of like that was my inspiration, because I didn't want to become a father. So I was like, so I don't want to be this. What else I can be? So I started to discover different jobs and learning about life and learning about money and learning about what is a goal in life. How can I be different? How is it like somebody become Bill Gates and somebody become nobody? And what is the difference between these two and where I want to be?
Yeah, that's great that you could see that you wanted to do something different than the way that your father had his life. And obviously, as you said, you went through some hardships living in a war-torn country, having to move. So you said you lived in Greece for a while and then went back to Iran. And
Yeah.
then
So
go ahead.
And yeah, so we're back to Iran. When I was 8, I couldn't speak Farsi, which is my mother language. So I started to learn Farsi again and grew up in Iran. And when I was like around the 20 something, I started to realizing that this is not my life. And I had like difficulties. So I moved to Europe then. And it was really a difficult movement to move to Europe. But I made my move because my life couldn't be limited.
Right.
Because I believe I'm not a tree. So I can move.
Yeah. That's Jim Rohn, I think, I think it's Jim Rohn that said, you're not a tree, you can move. So it's still not easy though, to leave your country, what your family, and move to a new place, start a new, like you said, you started a new business, you were doing coaching. Do you remember what it was that introduced you to this idea of, some people, do end up like a Bill Gates and other people end up financially struggling their whole lives? Like, what did you go to a seminar? Was it a book that you read? Was it like a spiritual download?
I did a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
I did read all the books from Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I went through so many seminars. I started to do some network marketing. I did work as a manager and learn how to become a leader in your business. I did a whole bunch of things, and from everywhere I was just taking, okay, this works for me, this doesn't, this works for me, and I was just grabbing what works for me and who I want to be, because I didn't know who I am, because I actually didn't have a role models. So I was looking for a role models that who I want to be.
Yeah.
And actually the spiritual downloading, like really like being in a nature and being high in the nature, and letting like the things that I learned just sink in my body and flow, and looking at nature and understanding what is happening in the world is exactly what is happening in the nature. And it's the same thing, it's the same flow. If I can see it, if my eyes can see what is happening, then the nature becomes my teacher. So the nature becomes the best teacher, that I could see how the life flows. So I could be in the flow of life, and then be part of the river, and be part of the air that it can move.
Oh,
And I still have my own goal.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that, being able to be in the flow at the same time as having a goal that you're working towards. And it makes life a lot easier when you're in that, instead of fighting and swimming upstream, right? You're allowing
Exactly.
the flow of the river. It's interesting that you mentioned you spent some time in network marketing. For those that may or may not know, that have been around, maybe new to the podcast, I had a career of 17 years in network marketing, and just recently sort of, I guess you could say, retired, but you never really retire from network marketing, because I'm very, very blessed to have some income that is passive at this point. But I will say, one of the biggest gifts for sure that I was introduced to through that was this world that I didn't know anything about, this world of Think and Grow Rich, this world of Jim Rohn, and all of these other people to learn from, that allowed me to help shift and focus on my own money mindset. That's not to say that I haven't struggled with it. It's just that I was like you, I was introduced to it at that time, and it really it opened a world that I think not a lot of people, I don't know how many years ago that was for you, but for me at that time, like nobody was really talking about these things. So that was really an exciting thing to kind of learn and be aware. So you get on this path, you start to learn about financial freedom, you're doing some coaching. How did sort of the genesis of teaching a course around this, or leading people through a program, where did that kind of start for you?
So it was like, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, after that conversation that I had with my colleague, which was my co-partner in the business, and then helping and supporting my housemates. And then I started traveling. And when I was traveling, people asked me, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I make cookies. I have this business in Amsterdam, and I work in festivals. I have a business that is in the city. And I started to teach people about finances, and how they can be financially free. And then there was a few people around me. They were like, okay, I would like to learn from you. And I was like, okay, I can charge 10 euros an hour. And they were like, yes, let's do it. And we started doing it. And then over a few months, I saw their life has changed. And I was like, oh, wow, that was great. And then I had like more people coming to me. And one time when I was in Thailand, I had like a morning session and afternoon session with groups of people, and everybody was coming, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I would love to do this, because there was this feeling of my purpose was fulfilled. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do this. I would love to share this information with the others. And of course, some people did work for them, some people didn't work, some people were ready, and some people were not really ready. And then that feeling was like I would call it burning desire. I don't know if that make any sense to you, but there was this burning desire inside of me. I was like, okay, I want to share this with the whole world. Writing this book that I've been busy with 3 years is like, there was nothing behind me to help me or support me. Of course, I had my partner supporting me, friends supporting me, but there was nothing behind me say, hey, you have to do this. The only person was really like inside of me, this burning. There was this candle that has started and become like a big fire inside of me. And it's just like, go, 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 go. And I couldn't stop myself. I still can't stop myself. I don't know. I feel like I have to do more and more. I want to support. I want to be in service of the others with the information that I learned.
And a book is a wonderful way to do that because you can reach more people at a more, affordable global cost, of course. And I love that you've got your book coming out. Before we start to talk about your book and the gratitude connection with financial freedom and all that, because I know that is a key concept from your book. And I do want to spend some time there. What I want to know about before we go there is there is a very important spiritual part to the work that you're doing. That's the first thing in your bio. I noticed on your website, you really talk about that connection to spirituality, to Tantra. So how did that, because if you look at one side, you're really focused on financial freedom and helping people do that and the coaching. Where does the spiritual part fit in for you? How did that sort of come and be introduced into your life?
This is a beautiful question. I love it. I actually get goosebumps. So the fact is, we either want to talk about spirit or matter, or we want to talk about the spirituality or money or the earth or whatever we want to call it. But the balance is to have access to a spirit and matter. The balance is to understanding that these two are not separated from each other, but connected. And finding that fine line in the middle that connected to the spirit and be with all these spiritual practices while having access to the earth. I believe earning money is a spiritual practice. It can be a spiritual practice. Working with the earth can be a spiritual practice. It's that fine line, how we look at it. And how we can bring these two together, because there is no religion that separates money from the God. God always wants some money. So just understanding that, to bringing these two together, then we are in balance. This is the way that I see it.
Okay. Yeah. Can you explain that a little bit more for me? The connection between, God and money and spirituality, and there is, like you said, sometimes when we hear different things in religion, it's that money is a negative thing, money is bad. So I really want to hear your perspective on this.
All right. This is
elaborate.
This is my humble opinion. So we want to think where the money comes from. So money comes from the products that the earth gives us. The earth gives us gold, the earth gives us apple, the earth gives us anything. And that we exchange that for money because we could not exchange things with it. So the earth, the mother, the son, the father, the humans in connection with these three, we come together and we create matter, we create money. So basically, money doesn't come from somewhere else. We didn't import money from the Venus, or we didn't import money from the moon. The earth is full of money. The earth is money. So by understanding that the earth and the sun and a human and combination of that is a matter, then we understand that because sun and earth and us, we are a spiritual. We are a spiritual being. So the combination of that is also a spirit. There is no dividends. And the only dividends that become there is because there was miscommunication, there was misunderstanding, there was wars, there was limitation, and because of that, people started to thinking, okay, because of this war, because somebody wanted to have more, because of this, so money is evil. So basically, money is not an evil. What happened? It was because we were limited, we started to fight for things, and then we come to the conclusion that it was money. It wasn't money. We always want to find something outside of us as a problem. But sometimes it's just really deep inside of us. That's something that we have to change, to have to shift, transform. And it comes to all those words, all this negative feeling that we have. It comes for a reason, because we want to learn something. We come here to learn that. And as soon as we start to blaming it as outside matter, as soon as we start to blaming it because we want to say, hey, I don't have any access to it, I cannot change it, And as soon as we have addressed it inside of us, that limit, then we can shift it. As soon as we acknowledge it, basically appreciation is acknowledgement. And when we acknowledge something inside of us, we are actually appreciating. We can appreciate the negativity, we can appreciate the pain. And then through that, we can get the gift, we can get the jewel out of that pain. And then say like, oh, this is another jewel in my being.
Wow. Okay. I want to kind of bring this all kind of full circle with what you've just shared, which I think is so powerful, is that at the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned that you have no limits, right? And that's, you moved because you didn't want to be limited by your environment. And I love that you bring it back to like the limits we have on our financial well-being or ability to earn. That's a made-up limit. That's something inside that, we're blaming it from an outside, but really it's that inside that's creating that limit. And your work really helps us to release those limits. Did I bring that all together?
Yes, that's it. You got it.
Perfect. Oh, so cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So good. Okay. So now that we know this, the way that you're able to help people, I love that. So let's talk about specifically, you mentioned appreciation, which is a form of gratitude. Tell me more about where you see the connection between this money mindset and gratitude. How are the two intertwined, and why is it so important to express or work with gratitude when we're working on our money mindset?
Beautiful. Love it. So, we are in the point A and we want to go to point B, which is like where I am today and a point A, and I want to become this person that I'm dreaming of, which is my goal, my vision, where I want to go. And because I want to go there, I need to have a certain mindset. I need to be ready. I need to have my tools ready. And to get those tools ready, I need to be in alignment. And part of that alignment, like basically it's not part of that. To be aligned with the source is to be in a state of gratitude, in a state of appreciation. Because to be in a state of gratitude and a state of appreciation is the state that all the plants are. We heard it in the different religions. They say like all the plants and all the birds and all the animals are praying to the God, basically singing to the God, which means like they are appreciating the life that they are in. So basically, when we are appreciating what we have today, we can get more of it. If I don't like what I have, I cannot get anything else. It's just like what you want. And understanding and that appreciation is the momentum. It's the momentum of a silence that I just take that deep breath. And then I become aligned with the source. I become aligned with the universe. And then my voice become in the same frequency with the universe. And whatever I ask, it becomes the reality. And this is such a powerful moment when we experience it. Like I love Abraham Hicks. Like she says, like you ask, and then you're going to go to the receptive mode. What I call as a receptive mode is partly, if I want to go to that receptive mode, is to be aligned with the universe, to go to this appreciation mode. It can be even the appreciation or the gratitude can be sort of meditation. Like, okay, I really grateful for my body. I'm really grateful for what I have eat today. I'm grateful for the breath that I take. I'm grateful for my heartbeat that 24/7 is beating, and I never ask for do anything. And just having all this gratitude, and then getting more and more aligned with who I am today. And it is challenging because we are living in the cities, because we are living in the places that is challenging to live. I had a challenging day today. Yeah. And there is traffic, there is moments that you feel like I booked somewhere and I booked a month later because of things that is happening in my life. Oops. And then coming back to that alignment, I'm feeling like, okay, I made a mistake. I don't have to blame anybody for it. And I'm still grateful to be able to do another booking, even though it's late.
So you said a bunch of really interesting things there that I just want to, go back to. The first
Please.
thing is about asking for what we want. And, I'm thinking about the work of Abraham Hicks, and I love, Ask and It Is Given. It's one of my favorite books. And I think about this challenge, and you mentioned sort of the solution, which is often we find ourselves asking and asking and asking and asking, and we never take the time to put ourselves in that position to receive.
Exactly.
And I feel like what you just said there about when you're in a position of gratitude, when you align your body with gratitude, and you just took us through a very simple gratitude exercise, right? In just 30 seconds, you brought yourself back into feeling grateful, by checking in with your body. And that allows us to be open to receiving. And I think that's the biggest challenge sometimes when we have difficulty manifesting what we're looking for, is that we're in that asking. So can you just go a little bit, maybe into a little bit more detail about how do we get ourselves into a position to receive? Because I think that's what's missing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. I have an example. So I had this friend that we did some course together, and then we learned a lot about lot of attraction, and we learned how to write our goals and all of that. And then we were doing this job, and after 3 months, she called me and said, "Hey, Kamran." I was like, "What?" She was like, "I don't know. Like, I'm just keep writing, and it's not working. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I have to change the dates, or I have to do that. I have to do this." And I was like, "Hey, wait a second." She was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, maybe you don't write for a month your goals, and just write your gratitude and just relax. You already wrote a lot about what is your goals." She was like, "All right, let me do that. Let me try that." And a month later, her life completely changed.
I love that. I love that pause, that allowing. It goes back to what you said at the beginning of the podcast, which was being connected with nature, feeling the flow and allowing. And I find sometimes I get caught up in that too. It's like I'm trying too hard to manifest. Like, it's like, no, manifesting, it's like this reminder for myself is like, manifesting is not hard work. Right? I forget how it's not meant to be hard work. It's about allowing, letting it go through, and allowing our bodies to be in that beautiful state of gratitude. So you shared with us a beautiful gratitude practice in the moment, getting us into the present moment. What are some other ways that you practice gratitude, maybe on a daily basis or something that you do on a weekly basis? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I personally started around 20 years ago when, let me just think. I think like it was after the movie Secret came out. I was watching the movie The Secret and was like, wow, this is amazing. Like I had this practice that I listened to the movies The Secret for a couple of months every day from the beginning till the end, couple of times, sometimes just one time. And I started to learn all of this and let it embody in my body. But then I was like, there is something I don't understand what I have to do. And finally, between the lines, I understood I have to write my gratitude. And I started doing that. And since then, for a couple of years, I wrote my gratitude every single morning. Very first thing that I do every single morning, and just remembering what I'm grateful for. It can be my phone, it can be my laptop, it can be a really physical thing, or my health and my relationship, and everything that I'm grateful for today. And I just give myself 5 minutes. I don't need to write half an hour. I don't need to write 2 hours. I write 5 minutes, whatever comes. I just put that there, feeling that gratitude in my body, that alignment. And then another 5 minutes, I write my goals, whatever comes, 5 goals, 10 goals, whatever it comes. I don't have to check what I wrote yesterday or last month. I just write on all of that. And that is been my practices for many years. Lately, I don't do it often because I started to do it verbally. are in my mind. Like when I'm in the shower, I started to think, okay, I'm grateful for this. I can say it. I'm grateful for my partner. I'm grateful for my phone. I'm grateful for my laptop. I'm grateful for my mother. I'm grateful for the life that I'm living. I'm grateful for money that comes to me from different sources on a continuous basis in an increasing quantity. Just like going, and whatever I'm grateful for, and then stop and let that just comes to my body. I personally believe that gratitude is appreciation, and the appreciation is acknowledgement. And when we are start acknowledging, we are making our ego to be humble. And that humbleness, it brings that receiving mode that we are talking about. For everything that we are asking for. And every day is a new day to just be humble and to be in this. Sorry, you wanted to say something. Come on.
No, I was just saying, yes, I love this beautiful bringing you back to being humble and in a state of receiving. I would love it if you could repeat. It sounds like it's something you've said often. You had a gratitude about money flowing to you. Can you repeat that maybe again for our listeners?
Yeah, I learned that from Bob Proctor, actually.
Oh, yeah. I knew it sounded familiar. I love Bob Proctor. Yes, please
Bob
repeat
Proctor
it.
is amazing. Yeah, I say I'm grateful for money that comes to me from different sources on a continuous basis in increasing quantity.
Okay. So I'm grateful for money that comes to me from different sources.
In increasing quantity.
In increasing quantity. And
in continuous basis.
In continuous. Okay. Amazing. We want to definitely remember that phrase. It's interesting. I have a phrase as well, a morning mantra that I have from Wayne Dyer, which is, I wake up and I say, thank you for this gift of another day and the opportunity to be of service to others and to make a difference in this world. So, those
Beautiful.
masters, they had definitely some wonderful things that we could learn from them. We've come a long way from The Secret, which was, I believe it was 2006 or 7. It was, almost 20 years ago, like you said. Interestingly, I did the same thing for a long time. I had The Secret audiobook, and I would listen to that on a daily basis. And so we sort of come from that is kind of where my gratitude practice originally started. And then I was able to grow my gratitude practice or sort of get back into it through hearing Sean Aker speak, the author of The Happiness Advantage. And that sort of catapulted my gratitude practice from that point on. And like you, my gratitude practice is an evening one where I write what I'm grateful for in the evening. I use Bob Proctor's gratitude intention, writing in the present for something that I'm manifesting in my life. And I think what you said, I think something that I might add to my own practice, and a lot of our listeners have gratitude practices. So sometimes we're listening to not just for new things and new ways to practice gratitude, but ways to kind of tweak our practice or up level our practice if you must. And what you said about, you do your gratitude in the shower and then you pause and you allow the flow and you allow the receiving. And I think that's something that I can do better is when I do write my gratitude and do all that before bed, pause for a moment, allow for space for receiving before sort of closing my book and putting it away. It's a simple thing. I'm going to add that to my practice. So thank you for that. I love that there's so many infinite ways for us to practice gratitude.
Amazing. Love it. Thank you. I also really felt amazing because I never met somebody who started gratitude practices from the movie Secret, and I was like, "Wow, this is my human."
I love that. Yeah, it is amazing. And when you think about how long it's been now since that movie came out, but how pivotal it was for both you and I, the way that it influenced our lives and those teachers we met, and how it's really brought us connected back together here today to talk about this. So as we wrap things up, I would love for you to just maybe leave our listeners with something, a word of guidance or something just to wrap up what you've shared that they can leave our podcast with today.
Yeah, I really believe that gratitude is embedded in many spiritual practices, like a lot of religions. Like They have like tasbih or these beads that they do use it. So it's been gratitude. It's been here for thousands of years. It's not a new practice that we are using. And what is really important to feel it is like that gratitude has a frequency. And when we start to have this gratitude, when we start to live it in our body, we access a different frequency in the universe, which is really big. And feeling that frequency and understanding that frequency, it gives us like a higher momentum. It gives us this quantum leap to access to something that is not possible to access with the normal life that we have. It's not possible to do it with your mobile phone or with your computer or with your AI. It's like very high technology. And to feel that, because understanding is from a mind, but feeling is from the body. To feel that, when we start to do this practice, if we allow our body to feel that frequency, we feel how much we are capable of doing, how much we are capable of achieving. And yeah, and this is like high level. It's really like, sometimes I don't have words for it. I feel like I'm wordless to express what gratitude is and what it does. And I did experience it.
Perfect. Wonderful way to wrap up this beautiful podcast. Kamran, where is the best place for people to find you online?
I have my own website. It's called kamrannovin.love.
Perfect. We'll make sure the links are accessible. We'll also let our listeners know in the show notes about your new book when it comes out. So if you're watching this or listening to this a bit later, I'll make sure there's a link directly to purchase the book. I believe you can sign up. You know, what's so interesting is you have a love letter on your website, right? Which they can sign up to make sure they get the book when it comes out. I also have a gratitude love letter. I sent
Yeah.
So I was like, I've never seen anybody else say that on their website. So anyway, such a wonderful connection and synchronicity. So they can sign up on your website to make sure that they're alerted when the book is officially released. And I just wish you so much love and success and joy, as you launch this beautiful book into the world and really help so many people with their money mindset. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to be invited and be here and be in service of the others. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this job.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the podcast. I appreciate you. If you're not already following us on your favorite app, make sure you click on the check or follow podcast so you'll be alerted every time there's a new podcast episode. If you enjoyed the episode and want to help us grow, here's some easy things that you can do. You can leave a review on your favorite app. You can share this podcast with a friend and send it directly. And you can also share through social media. Feel free to tag me on any posts in your stories and I'll repost. Thank you to Paul Tedeschini for doing the post-production audio for the podcast. And one last thing. I hope you're choosing to wake up with gratitude every single day.